Hello and welcome to Conquering Mount Scrapmore with Brenda. I'm Brenda and today we're here with our last episode of Curves Bootcamp. And it's kind of sad to see this one go, but it's time to move on and get along with other things that we want to do this year. So the last one is a New York Beauty, and it's a very simple one. So that the pattern you're going to find in a PDF is below, right? And you have to use some tape to put it together because it's a fairly large block. But first, I want to introduce you to Crystal from Moonkin Stitchery. Now, she also has a blog and a website and all this stuff. Now, I'm just going to put her YouTube channel down there. And when you go check her out and you hit that subscribe button of hers, tell her that Brenda from Conquering Mount Scrapmore sent you. And I just want to send her a lot of wonderful best wishes because I believe she's a very talented person. So, now, the other thing is our Facebook group. Now that group link is below, and I'm not sure whether we're deciding on a sew date or whether we're still voting or whatever, so you can go look in there below. If we have decided a sew date, you will see a Zoom link and a date. Now that time is for Mountain Standard Time because I'm in Alberta, Canada. So if you're kind of wondering what time zone that is, I'm terrible with time zones, so I put Mountain Standard Time and I hope everybody can convert. So come on in, we've got a lot of fun sewing to get to today. Okay, the pattern you're going to find below, and you're going to have to tape it together, and it prints on 4 sheets. So what you try and do is you do your best and just try and line up your lines. And I try to do a simple one so it's not going to be too complex. Now I printed 2 of them. So I have one where I can cut out my arc and do my paper piecing, my foundation paper piecing, and then I did another one just so I could get the half circle and then the rest of the arc, right, to fill it out to a square. So let's get the paper piecing arc done first. Now I am going to try very carefully to do a 1/4 inch, and I'm going to measure every once in a while just to make sure that I'm over my fabric is over by a 1/4 inch. And I've got my paper scissors in hand. Hopefully this will all work. Yeah, when I did this on my EQ8, it decided it wasn't going to print the pieces, right? Because it's curved piecing, but that's okay. So now this is like, this piece here is not worth anything. So I'm going to put that down. And now the next piece, now this is about an eyeballed good 1/4 inch all the way around. And I'm going to do the same here. Because I want a good hangover to be working with here. Now, I've decided on my New York Beauty to stick with the cool tones. Okay, and this piece drops away because it's too small. So I've decided to work with the cool tones. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to make this go purple, green, blue, purple, green, blue, purple, green, blue, purple. Right? So we're going to start with our purple, and I picked up kind of a Civil War purple. I figured, this would be cute. It would be, so nice to work with. So I'm just going to rough cut out a piece that I think might be big enough and make it bigger than I need, and I'm good. I always use the pieces for other things. So I'm just going to rip it. Ugh, there we go. And put this down, and I probably only need like this much of it, and I need it twice because the purple's on this side as well, right? So I need 2 of them about the same size, and I'm going to go bigger than smaller, and I'm just going to cut this just like that and rip. So there, right there, I have just roughly cut out 2 pieces of purple that I'm going to need. I'm going to take the smaller pieces later. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and put a straight edge against this line here. right? But that's going to leave us a little shy. Well, let's get the markings done with our handy dandy ripper. Hang on, I just dropped my scissor. Okay, so let's get this done first. With this tracing wheel, let's get all this done first, because once you get that done, then it's easy. And it's easier to go through. And I've got a bump. There we go. I've got the hinge right there. Where, can you see this well? I hope. Okay, so I'm just going to go quickly along here. And it's only got 3 spikes, but that's okay. And I told you you can, if you're doing more than one of these, then you can, then you can just line them all up and trace your stitching wheel right across. There, go. I love foundation paper piecing. I did a New York Beauty quilt for my first grandson, and it looks like a dragon's tail. Looks kind of cool. And I'm going to crank up my stitches to make sure you shorten your stitch length too, right? All of this makes it easier to pull off, right? So here is where your little rough edges are. You can see the little perforations there, hopefully, right? And it makes it easier to pull the paper off. So let's get this party started. And we're going to start at, oh, we should start at A1. That would work. So from here, we're going to bend. It's going to bend back really easy, just along that A1 line, right? So this is where, okay, I want good coverage on all sides. There we go. And I want to have a straight edge there. That looks good. So now, I'm going to take this and cut it. Oops, I should show you. So now I'm going to cut this so you can see where that line is going to fall. Now the next piece I'm going to put is a blue, right? So I want the blue to be, oops, hang on, let's get the blue out. I've got some pretty botanical blue. I figured that was going to be cute for our little project. And yes, it's yardage. Oh dear, we're using yardage. That's okay. Every once in a while, you just gotta pull out some yardage and get it used up. So I'm just gonna cut, because I don't need a lot of this blue. I don't need a lot, but I'm gonna take a lot. There we go. There. Now, I'm going to make another cut right here. I'm just going to lay it down here across my lap. And I'm going to lay this blue against this purple, just like so. Right? Just lay them on top. I've got a good straight edge on the outside, and I've got good coverage. So let's get this under the sewing machine needle, and there. So let's start. And now I'm holding, you notice I'm not pinning anything, ever. Okay, I'm not pinning anything, but I am making sure I'm peeking under to make sure I've got a good 1/4 inch. There we go. Nice. There. There we go. Get that out of the way. And now, so this is a good straight edge, right? So now I've got a really nice piece of blue here. I'm just going to finger press that. And I know some of you are rolling your eyes. Oh, she's always finger pressing something. That's true, I am. Now I'm going to take this next line between A2 and A3, and I'm going to just fold it over. And it's kind of rough, hard to fold over, because that's where the fabric that's where the tape is, right? So it's kind of it's not really wanting to cooperate. So I'm just going to take my stitch ripper or stitch line and go a little deeper across the tape. There we go, and it should be easier to hold over now. There it is. Nice. So now I'm going to take this with my add a quarter ruler wherever it went. Yes, I spend my life looking for stuff I put down. Just like every other quilter on the planet. And I'm going to put the next color in, which is a green. I'm going to leave this over here. Now this little piece here is not quite big enough. It's not quite long enough. Well, it could be. No, it's a little tight. Let's not use that piece. Let's use a different piece. Okay, and there we go. There, now let's go across. Now, this is one thing. If you have a piece of fabric like this, and you don't have to use it right away, you can just put the whole piece down and cut away what you need, right? So that's what we're gonna, that's when we get into the stained glass window. That's kind of the theory, what you have to use with the black. And we'll explain more of that later, but when we get into that sewing project, that's a really good idea to learn how to do that, because you just, you know, it is what it is, and you come through it and it looks great. Now, I'm going to have to start doing leader enders. Again. Okay, so now I've got my green, and it's a full piece of green like you see, and I don't need that much green. So I'm just going to finger press this out of the way, give it a good hard finger press, move it like so, and get the line here, which is our next line. Okay, and there we go. I'm just going to pull that little bit away because it gets a little sticky and I'm not quite on the board. There we go. There we go. One thing foundation paper piecing does, it gives you precision. And that precision is such an amazing thing to have at times, you know. Okay, so there we go. And now I'm going to put in my next purple piece, which is, right here. Okay. I'm going to just layer this. Going to make it like that big. Okay. And we're just going to sew this whole piece on that I just ripped out because I've got lots. I'm just going to get it just perfect to where I need it. And this is a really quick technique too. You know, because then you just keep sawing off from the same piece. You don't have to worry about anything. So now I'm going to sew right along there all the way up. Pull it out. Give it a clip. Oops. Okay. Push this over just like so. Now if you had an ironing board beside you, this is where this ironing board would come in really handy. Because now I'm going to do the next row, right? The next piece. So you see this, the spikes are starting to happen here. Now the next piece is here between A4 and A5. And you just keep motoring along, just doing one block at a time. Don't panic, and don't get ahead of yourself, and don't, you know, try not to, you know, just make this an enjoyable experience. Now you see how that's coming down quite a bit, but that's okay. Well, I'm just going to cut off the piece that I need with my rotary cutter there, and I'm just going to cut this off like so. So I still have a big piece left of the purple that I'm going to need. Now, you kind of get this, right? It's like it's coming along. I need this a little bit. I need this there. Oops, I needed this. Did I just whack my head on the camera? Yes, I did. Okay, so I needed this cutting line here. Okay, so now you can kind of see how this is all coming together, right? So I'm going to continue doing the rest of this paper piecing, and then I'll show you what to do with the inner curve and the outer arch. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, now our arch is done, right? So you can see how the arch is done. Now what I did is I printed that pattern twice, and then I left it so I'd have a good 1/4 inch seam allowance along my ridges, right around the arch, good 1/4 inch seam. But there's also little markings there which I now can match up to my arch, right? So let's do the smaller arch first. Now when you're cutting the smaller arch, you want to cut it, you want to put it so that the pattern sits on the wrong side of the fabric, right? So it's like this, and this is on the other side. So you can see where it's nice and bright. So this is what you're going to have to match up. Now, I have left this oversized, right? Just because I know how this sometimes goes, right? Sometimes it's not a happy little block to do. Now I'm going to show you how traditionally we would pin. So that first center mark is right there, and it's 1/4 inch down, and you're going to try and get this 1/4 inch down on this mark right here. You start in the center, and there you are. You just popped right through, and it's perfect. Oh, it's perfect. So now I'm just going to keep going around. This mark here, that V, is 1/4 inch down from this 1/4 inch, and it goes right in where the purple, the green, and the blue intersect. So you want it right at the bottom of that purple, right? So now you push that in, and it's going to start to give you a little bit of problems, but that's okay. We just work along here. So this one now, this next mark goes in here, and it goes right in where the blue and the green intersect. 1/4 inch down, you check your back to make sure you're in the right spot. I just missed it just by a hair, and we pin it in place. Now, just like that. Now we take the last mark, the most important mark, and we're just going to hit right in the dead center, and that's going to hit where the green and purple intersect, and there's my back. So now I know I'm oversized, but that's okay. And I want to make sure that that comes up right at the edge. So I'm just going to move it just a little bit. So instead of it going in here, I'm going to move it this way, and I want it to come up right in that dark black line. Right there. So now you can see it's starting to curve a little bit, which is good, which is a good thing. Now we want to finish pinning the other side. Now we're doing the smaller curve first, because the smaller curves are harder than the big curves. So now this side, you've got a V, and that V is going to match right there on the very top of that purple. And you don't want lose your point. You want to make sure it's perfectly in place. Yes, it is. Okay, you just want to catch just a bit of that. The next point is your line where the blue and green meet. And that's going to go right there. Now I'm going to check on the other side here to make sure I didn't miss. Don't miss it. Oh, no, I'm just a hair out. So I want to make sure, I want to come up right where that line is. And I just want to move it over. You kind of have to manipulate it sometimes. There. Now, the last line, the very last line comes up right here, right at the edge, and it comes up right at that corner, right there. Now you see I put my stay stitching and everything in on my arch already. Okay, now I want this to go flat along that line and come up flat along this line, and it did. And it did, just like flat and flat. So now we have a curve that we can sew. We have the harder curve to sew, right? It's all going to work out nice. Now, it doesn't matter which side you put down first. It actually makes a little bit of sense to put the smaller piece on top. But, okay, so we just want to get in here. And this is a very traditional way of piecing a curve. Now, as you pull, you go up to your pin, and you stop and you pull it. And that's how you're gonna go all the way around this. Go up to your pin, and I wouldn't recommend sewing over your pins. I mean, I have done it, but I've also scared myself too with some nasty pinning. But this is how paper piecing is done. Okay, there. The next pin. Okay, there we go. And the last. There we go. Okay, so that's that. Now, remember I did say I cut this piece bigger, and so it's going to look just beautiful. Let's see if we made our purple points, because that's important on the New York Beauty. That's what gives it all those lovely little... So we made both our points. They look really good. They look great. So let's just finger press this out of the way just a bit. And actually what we could do is just rip the purple paper away, but we're going to leave it now. I'm going to rip it away later. See, now there it is. There's your line. So let's do the last arch, right? Now the last arch also I have left where I have got, you know, cut a quarter inch in. So I've made two pieces. So here's where this point goes. And because you can tell from this side, it's where all of those little intersections hit. So you want to make sure you get your point right there. So you want to stick it in. Oops, let's get that other pin out of the way. I'm going to stick this in and just take a wee tiny little bite, the smallest bite you can with all the paper. Oh, these pins need to be sharper, or I need to be stronger. So now you're going to get a center point between this pin and this, and you just line them up. Just kind of like line them up and give it a little finger press. And then you line these up and you give this a little finger press, and it gives you a little, what it does is it gives you another little guideline, right? You know, and then you take this with this point, line them up the best you can, and give this a little smushing. Oh, that's not going to work because there's a pin in the way. Okay, let's go this way. Let's go from here to here. Let's get that lined up. And you just want to give it a little smush down so that you have another point of reference, because there's only a few points of reference here. And then you want to take the back and the back. You just want to line that all up and give it a little smush there, because that'll give you more reference lines. So it's easier to start matching up now that you're working with this. So the first thing we want to do is we want to match up that first line with the second line. And we want to make sure we poke through, not higher than the arch, but on the arch, on the black of the arch. And you want to take just a little bite of paper on both sides. There we go. And now we take another piece. And now I've also cut this one oversized, just because I have the ability to do so, and I want to make sure I come out. I have the world's dullest pin right now, but I want to make sure I come out right at that point. Yes, I am. And I want to take just a little bite. And the last bit is going to match up my outside with my outside, the outside point. Oh. Come on, one more. Down. Oh. Okay. All right. So now I want to tip this so that it matches in a square. Oops. Okay. And just a little bite down and up right there. Perfect. Now I do the other side. And this is where that line goes. And that goes right there. That's perfect. Now this is a gentler curve to manipulate, so it's a little easier to do. And you just want to take the smallest of bites. You know, when you're putting your pin in, last marking spot goes right here to where all those points go. Yep, oh, I just missed it by a hair. Okay, so now you want that to line up. Take a little bite, and the last one, you want this corner spot, I want that corner to line up with this corner. Oops, there we go. And there. So now this, there, you want this small little bite. Oh, did I lose it? No, I didn't. Here it is. You want to go there, take right along that black edge, and come up on the black edge, right? So let's put this one down and sew it. Why? It's doing issues. It's having issues. Oh, let's not sew my red hair in there. Good. That would just be bad. Okay. So we're going to start there. There we go. And we'll get this done. We'll get this all sewn up. Now, if you see it's starting to rip, remember you're trying to catch the fabric on fabric, right? There we go. And I just went right over my pin. I tell you, oh, don't sew over your pins. And then have just myself go right over them. Like there was nothing to it. Ooh, there we go. I hit the pin on that. Did you guys hear it? That's okay. And the only reason this is harder to manipulate is because I'm using photocopier or, you know, printer paper. So that's probably why. Okay, and the last little bit comes out, and there we go. Okay, now I'm just going to give it a quick flip it over. Oops, here, let's get this, and do my stay stitching right away. Right. Do my stay stitching right away because that's going to help stabilize any edges. So I'm going to, now I've already stay stitched the arc part. Oops, I've just whacked my head again. Okay, so let's get the rest of this done. Okay, and that'll give us our 12.5 inch unfinished square. I'll just get rid of this. Now we're just stay stitching within the seam allowance because that makes a nice finish. Okay, down and there we go. And don't be afraid to give them a good press. Okay, there, that's done. And now we're going to do the bottom part, the quarter circle. Do the quarter circle. There we go. And Okay, and with this we now trim it up and we'll have our ta-da moment. Okay, this is my New York Beauty, and it's a simple one. It's not a complex one, and I did make it a 12-inch finished size. It finishes at 12.5 by 12.5, but unfinished, and it'll finish 12 inches in a quilt block. And it's a little bit bigger than you would probably expect for a quilt block, but the bigger the curve, the easier it is to sew. And I didn't want you guys struggling with this tiny little curve in here and a tiny little curve here, right? So this is why we went big. But you can start practicing now by doing blocks that are smaller. And I think this looks adorable. It's going to end up in an orphan block challenge, but it's going to be lovely. Okay, I hope everything goes great for you. I'm kind of sad that the Curves Bootcamp is over now, but this one calls an end. I'm not sure what we're going to plan next. It's going to be a surprise, so you'll have to wait and see. But anyways, I hope you have an absolutely glorious week ahead and everything goes well for you and your family. Okay, you take care until then. Bye! My husband and I would love to thank you for coming along with us on our quilting journey and the YouTube adventure that we're on. We have some wonderful plans for 2023, and it includes a lot more, like with the Facebook group and the rooms feature and sewing and hanging out with people. Those monthly Zoom sew dates are still in the works. We have a lot of fun ideas coming up for 2023, and we hope you share, like, and subscribe with your friends. That little notification button and subscribing to us really helps us out. Commenting helps us out too. So if you like what you're seeing, let us know. Even send us a heart on the comment. That helps so much for us. Okay, you have an absolutely fabulous 2023, and all of our best wishes for you in the future. Okay, take care. Bye.